All right, I don't know what's worse, the betrayal or realizing how long I let it happen under my nose. Let me get this out there first. No, I'm not actually Bill Gates. But my wife used to joke that I was her Bill Gates because I worked in tech, pulled long hours, and eventually started a small software company that took off. We weren't billionaires or anything, but I did all right: real estate, stocks, the occasional nerdy splurge. We've been married 11 years. 2 kids. She was this outgoing, dramatic type. Always the loudest laugh at parties. Kinda magnetic. She'd say things like, "Without me, you'd still be eating ramen in a dorm." I laughed it off. Maybe I shouldn't have. At first, I thought the spark had just faded a bit. We were both busy. I traveled more. She got into yoga, then spiritual retreats, then weird influencer-led seminars that cost more than my truck. She started doing this thing where she'd text furiously, then lock her phone screen the second I walked in. Claimed it was just her girls' group chat. She also started comparing me to other guys. "You're too nice," or "You don't have any mystery." Or my favorite, "You're like, dependable. Like a Labrador. Everyone likes you, but no one wants to screw you." Haha. Thanks, babe. I started to feel like an ATM with a beard. She'd spend $5 grand like it was $5. Then I'd get guilt-tripped if I asked her to slow down. "Don't treat me like a child. I'm your wife, not your intern." But it wasn't just the money. It was how distant she became. Like every time I opened my mouth, I was wasting her time. One night, we were watching some show, and Bill Gates came on for some interview clip. She said, and I quote, "Even Melinda got tired of him." See? Money isn't enough if you're boring. I laughed it off. I shouldn't have. It started with something ridiculously small: an Uber receipt. She was in the shower, and her phone pinged. I wasn't snooping. The notification popped up on our shared iPad, because yes, she never bothered to unlink it. It said, "Your ride from the Cove Hotel to 1759 Fairview Lane has been completed. Thanks for riding with us." 2 problems. She told me she was at a healing workshop in Santa Monica all weekend with no cell service. That hotel is not in Santa Monica. It's a beachside spot known for couples retreats and hookups. I know because I stayed there once for a conference. It's not where people go to spiritually recharge. Fairview Lane? That's not any of our friends' addresses. It's also not any studio, yoga center, or anything remotely related to her supposed retreat. So I did what every logical, mildly panicked husband would do. I Googled it. Zillow pulled it up. Rental condo. Recent reviews said stuff like, "Great for a weekend getaway with your soul." I found her Lyft history again, synced through our shared Gmail. This wasn't the first ride to that address. There were 3 others. All weekend trips. All when she said she was finding herself. My stomach just dropped. You know that feeling when your body goes cold, but you're sweating? That. I sat there staring at that screen, reading and rereading the info like maybe it would change the more I looked at it. Then, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened our shared photo storage. You know, the one that auto-backs up unless you disable it? And there it was. A mirror selfie of her. Lingerie I hadn't seen before. Her hair done. Candlelight in the background. No caption, just the date. The same day she told me she was meditating in silence. I wish I could say I planned something dramatic. That I stayed cool, gathered evidence, plotted like some kind of genius. Nope. I exploded. She came home late Sunday night, all blissed out and fake smiling. Hair still damp from a hotel shower, I'm guessing. She dropped her designer duffel on the floor like it was a sack of groceries and sighed like she was the one emotionally drained. "Babe, that retreat was next level," she said, stretching like a damn cat. "We did chakra work. I cried so much. I feel reborn." I held up the iPad. No words. Just the screen with the Uber receipt and that photo of her in lingerie like she was auditioning for a trashy perfume ad. She froze. I've never seen her face lose expression that fast. Then came the performance. "What is this?" I asked. She blinked a few times and laughed. Actually laughed. "Are you serious right now?" Me, dead serious. Her, "Oh my God. You're being paranoid. That photo was from months ago. I was showing the girls the new set I bought. Don't make it something it's not." Me, "The metadata says Saturday. Same day as the Uber ride to a random condo. So unless your spirit guide had a side hustle as a photographer." She cut me off. "Are you tracking me now? Is that what this is?" No apology. No denial. Just full gaslight mode. Then she added, "Okay, if I did go somewhere else, it's because I needed space." You've been cold. Absent. You treat me like I'm some burden you have to fund. You act like a martyr just because you pay the bills. That was when I realized she wasn't even trying to lie well. She was testing how much I'd swallow. I asked her if she was sleeping with someone else. She just stared at me, then said, real calm, "I didn't think you'd find out this way." Boom. Just like that, 11 years of marriage went from questionable to confirmed betrayal. I didn't sleep that night. I laid in our bed, or my bed, now staring at the ceiling while she went and locked herself in the guest room like she was the victim. The house was so quiet I could hear the fridge hum. Every now and then, I'd hear her phone buzz. Probably him. Maybe Chakra Steve, or Tantric Tim, or whoever the hell she was cheating with. My hands were shaking. My chest felt like it had a cinder block sitting on it. I wasn't just hurt. I was humiliated. I gave her everything. Built a life from nothing. The house, the car, the travel. Our kids had college savings by age 4. And she tossed it like it was a napkin. But what broke me wasn't the sex. It was the disrespect. The lies she told. So casual. So convincing. The fake yoga weekends. The spa receipts. The guilt-tripping when I dared question anything. You're controlling. You're paranoid. I deserve to be happy too. Like I was the problem when she was off playing spiritual goddess in some guy's Airbnb. The betrayal cut deep. But the gaslighting made me feel crazy. Like I was losing my grip on what was real. I started doubting my own memory. Was I cold? Was I absent? Did I push her away? I opened old texts between us just to remember who I used to be. And you know what I saw? I'm proud of you. Can't wait to see you tonight. Don't worry, I'll pick up the kids so you can rest. I was trying. Every damn day. I spent the next morning in the garage, just sitting there with the car door open, watching the sun crawl in. It was like my brain needed silence to not explode. I felt stupid. Small. Like the biggest joke in my own life. You know that saying, when it rains, it pours? Yeah. That week? Monsoon. I was still trying to wrap my head around the betrayal when our 9-year-old daughter, bless her, accidentally peeled back another layer. We were sitting on the couch Tuesday evening. My wife and I hadn't spoken much. She was doing her usual avoidance dance. Long showers, loud phone calls, lots of work. I was just trying to keep it normal for the kids. So my daughter curls up next to me and says, "Daddy, why didn't you come with us to the beach house?" I froze. Me, what beach house, sweetheart? Her, the one with the red walls and the bouncy bed. Mommy said it was a mommy-daughter special trip, but then a man named Jason came, too. He brought us donuts and had big muscles. I felt my stomach do a free fall. I didn't even know what to say. I looked her in the eyes and forced a smile, told her I was glad she had fun. Inside, I was breaking into 1,000 tiny pieces. Jason. She had a regular thing going on. And she had the audacity to bring our daughter into it. To lie to both of us. To let some random, shirtless Tinder meathead feed my kid donuts in a damn rental while she played cool mom in love. I went to the bathroom and threw up. That was the moment something switched in me. Up until then, I've been clinging to denial. Hoping maybe it was just one mistake. Some temporary midlife breakdown. But that was character. Or lack of it. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't confused. She was cold. Calculated. She used our daughter like a prop in her little romantic fantasy. I finally understood. I wasn't just dealing with infidelity. I was living with a narcissist. So, after what my daughter told me, I knew I couldn't keep pretending this was salvageable. The maybe we can work through this fog lifted. I saw her clearly for the first time in I don't even know how long. I waited until the kids were at school. She was in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone, still in her overpriced matching lounge, set like she hadn't detonated our life days earlier. I sat down at the table. We need to talk. Now. No yoga voice. No spiritual excuses. I know about the beach house. Her eyes twitched. Just for a second. Then she tilted her head like I was a lab rat. Her, what do you mean? Me, our daughter told me about Jason. The beach house. The bouncy bed. You brought our child into your affair. She scoffed. Scoffed. Are you seriously going to interrogate me based on what a 9-year-old said? She doesn't understand adult situations. I leaned forward. So you're not denying Jason now? Her, I'm not dignifying this with a yes or no. Because clearly your mind's made up. She always did that, made me the irrational one. The emotionally unstable one. A classic deflection. But then she slipped. Big time. She muttered, you were barely present. You were always working, always on your laptop. I needed someone who made me feel alive again. Boom. There it was. The confession, half buried in a self-justifying rant. Me. So you admit you were seeing someone. Multiple times. You lied to me, and you exposed our child to it. Her. Don't twist my words. Twist? Lady, your words came with receipts, geotags, and a minor's eyewitness testimony. She stood up, slammed the fridge shut like that proved a point, and said, you act like I'm the devil, but you stopped being a husband years ago. That line, you stopped being a husband, stuck with me. Not because it was true, but because it was the script. The same script cheaters pull from when they run out of lies and need to make it your fault. That was the moment I emotionally checked out. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't threaten lawyers. I just stood up, looked her in the eyes, and said, you're not my wife anymore. You're just someone I used to love. After that confrontation, something in me went cold. Not numb exactly, just focused. Like I'd stepped out of a burning building and realized I still had my wallet and my keys. The old me? He would have tried to fix things. Go to counseling. Reignite the spark. Beg her to come back emotionally. But this new version of me? He was done. She kept walking around the house like nothing happened. Still humming in the mornings. Still doing that annoying fake laugh on FaceTime calls with her friends. She must have really thought I'd just roll over and accept it all, like some housebroken fool. So I started planning. First, I made an appointment with a divorce attorney. Found a guy recommended by one of my coworkers who'd gone through something similar. His ex ran off with a personal trainer in Scottsdale. I told the attorney everything. The affairs. The kid's story. The emotional manipulation. The financial imbalance. Spoiler, she hadn't contributed to our joint account in 6 years but sure loved tapping into it. He told me I had a strong case. Especially with the kid involved. Especially if I stayed calm and didn't go scorched earth. Second, I opened a new bank account in my name only. Transferred exactly 50% of the joint funds. Nothing shady. Just protecting what was legally mine. Third, I bought a burner phone. Not for cheating or anything, just for planning. I used it to store screenshots, photos of receipts, calendar entries. Even saved a backup of her spiritual retreat itinerary from last fall, which was actually a weekend at the W Hotel with a guy named, get this, Blade. No joke. The guy's legal name was Blade. Like a bouncer in a vampire movie. Fourth, I stopped arguing. Stopped reacting. I was pleasant. Respectful. Calm. I even cooked dinner once or twice. Let her think the storm had passed. Because the truth was, I was already gone. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. The paperwork was just a formality. I wasn't expecting it. Honestly, I thought all of her friends were as fake and flaky as she was, wine-sipping goddess circle types who spoke in affirmations and cheated on their taxes with the same casual grace they cheated on their husbands. But one of them? She broke ranks. Her name's Alina. We'd met a few times at parties, but she mostly kept her distance from me. Until she didn't. One afternoon, I was at the grocery store, just minding my own business in the self-checkout line, when I hear someone say, you don't deserve what she did to you. I look up. It's Alina. No makeup, hair pulled back, sunglasses on her head like she was trying to go incognito. Me. Excuse me. Alina, I know about Jason. I know about Blade. I didn't know she brought your daughter into it, though. That's too far. I was stunned. All I could do was stare. So she kept talking. Alina, I thought you knew. I thought you were open. She made it sound like you two had some kind of arrangement. My voice was calm, but my insides were boiling. We're married. We have kids. There's no arrangement. There's just her lying and me finally waking up. That's when Alina sighed and said the quiet part out loud. She always talked like she was better than you. Like she settled. But the truth is, you're the one who built the life. You gave her the pedestal she keeps kicking out from under herself. Then she just walked away. Left me standing there with a bag of avocados and a lump in my throat the size of a fist. That little grocery store ambush confirmed everything. It wasn't a moment of weakness. It wasn't about feeling alive. This was a pattern. This was who she was. And worse? She was spinning entire narratives to her friends, stories where I was the distant, controlling husband and she was some poor misunderstood heroine just looking for her soul to be seen. But guess what? I was done being misunderstood. Next up was making my move. All right, buckle up. This is where things really took a turn. So, after the whole grocery store ambush from Alina, I was on high alert. I knew my wife was lying. I knew there were multiple guys. And I knew she dragged our daughter into the circus. But I needed more than circumstantial proof. I needed something solid. Because if this went to court, especially with custody involved, I wanted the truth on my side and in writing. So I set a trap. I used that burner phone I mentioned earlier. Installed a voice-activated recorder app. I left it in the living room one night, tucked behind a stack of those fake feng shui books she never actually read. I went to bed early and fell asleep upstairs. She thought I was out cold. She made a FaceTime call around 11:20 p.m. to Jason. I know because I played the audio back later. She giggled like a teenager and said, "He's sleeping. He's so clueless. Honestly, sometimes I feel like I'm living with a golden retriever, all loyalty and no idea what's going on." That one hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Then came the kicker. Jason asked when she'd be free again. She said, "I'll tell him I'm going to a trauma release workshop this weekend. You know, healing the wounded feminine and all that crap. He won't question it." She literally weaponized self-help talk to cover up her affair. By that point, I was shaking. Not from anger. From clarity. This was no longer a marriage. This was a PR campaign with a side of gaslighting. I had my proof. I had her voice, admitting to everything. I didn't even have to bait her. But just for good measure, I did. The next day, I asked her casually at breakfast, "Hey, you still planning to go to that trauma thing this weekend?" She didn't even blink. "Yeah, 3-day immersion. No phones. Deep work. Might come back a little raw." I smiled. Me. Well, I hope Jason's Airbnb has enough tissues. Her spoon froze in midair. That's the moment she knew. And that's when I walked away. So here we are. Game time. The day after the Airbnb and tissues comment, I called my lawyer and told him it was go time. We'd been prepping quietly for weeks, gathering documents, locking down accounts, planning custody logistics, and now it was just a matter of signing and serving. I had the papers sent to her at home on a Friday morning. Why Friday? Because I wanted the weekend buffer. No work, no clients, just her, sitting in the wreckage of her own ego, with nowhere to deflect and no one to manipulate but herself. At first, radio silence. She just stared at the envelope like it was a prop from a horror movie. Then came the screaming. Not tears, not confusion, rage. She actually screamed, "How dare you do this to me?" Like I had just cheated on her. I stayed calm, said nothing, just watched her unravel, pacing in that ridiculous yoga onesie she always wore but never actually sweated in. Then came the real mass drop. She went straight to threats. "You think a judge is going to give full custody to a man? I'll make sure our daughter wants nothing to do with you. I'll tell everyone you were emotionally abusive. I'll ruin you." There it was. The woman I married, or rather, the one hiding behind the mask of spiritual buzzwords and fake vulnerability, standing in full view. Fangs out. I recorded it all. I didn't even hide it. Just lifted my phone and hit record right in front of her. She backed off real quick when she saw that red dot blinking. Then she switched tactics. Cried. Said I was tearing our family apart. Said I should have given her a chance to explain. Explain what exactly? That she lied about being at workshops while hooking up with 2 different guys? That she coached our daughter to lie to me? That she called me a golden retriever while draining my bank account? Nah, I was done. I told her the divorce was happening. We could do it the hard way, or we could do it with dignity. Her answer? She spat at my feet and said, "You're not Bill Gates. You'll be nothing without me." I laughed, because the truth was, she was right about one thing. I wasn't Bill Gates. I was free. So, after the divorce papers were served, the real war started, the custody battle. She played the victim hard, flooded the court with accusations about my lack of involvement, painting herself as the perfect, nurturing mom. Typical move, right? But here's where things took a wild turn. Remember Alina, the friend who spilled the beans? She agreed to testify on my behalf. That alone rattled my wife. I could practically hear her pulse speeding up when she found out. Alina showed up in court and told the truth. About the lies, the affairs, the emotional abuse masked behind fake spirituality. She even brought receipts, texts, photos, and audio clips I'd collected. And get this, our daughter, after a little coaxing by a family counselor, confirmed some of the things I suspected. Not all the messy details, of course, but enough to show the judge that stability with me was the safer choice. The judge saw through her act, granted me primary custody with generous visitation rights for her, under supervision. I won, but honestly, winning felt hollow. The emotional toll was immense. Late nights wondering if I destroyed my daughter's world or built her a safer one. The loneliness and empty rooms. The guilt for not seeing the signs sooner. But I kept reminding myself, sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. After the custody battle wrapped up, life felt like this weird blank slate, both terrifying and strangely hopeful. I won custody, but I was a mess inside. I kept replaying everything in my head. How I missed the signs, how my wife spun lies so smoothly, and how much our daughter had to suffer in the middle. I started therapy, not just for me, but to figure out how to be the dad my daughter deserved. Honestly, I didn't know where to begin. Trust had been shattered, and I was angry, exhausted, and sad all at once. But I forced myself to find new routines. Morning breakfasts with my daughter became sacred time. We built forts, read books, and slowly rebuilt our bond. Work was different too. I threw myself into it, not to escape, but to create something stable and real. No more enabling chaos in my personal life. One thing I realized was this. I'd been living in someone else's narrative for years, trying to be the perfect husband for a woman who wasn't honest with me, or even herself. Now, I was starting to write my own story. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't a viral Reddit tale or a Hollywood script. It was messy, slow, and sometimes painfully lonely. But it was mine. Just when I thought I'd finally settled into some kind of peace, she showed up. Out of nowhere. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I was at a coffee shop with my daughter, just the two of us, laughing over spilled milk and half-eaten muffins, when I spotted her at the door. My ex. Looking like she stepped out of some cheap drama, sunglasses hiding her eyes, fake smile plastered on like it was a prop. I froze. She waved. My daughter looked confused. She came over and started talking. All fake sweetness, dripping with half apologies and blaming me for everything that went wrong. But here's the thing, I didn't engage. I let her talk. I kept my voice calm, even kind. I told her, I'm focused on my daughter now. If you want to be part of her life, that's on you. But I won't let her be caught in the middle anymore. She tried to guilt trip me, tried to bait me into arguments. I didn't bite. That day, I realized how much stronger I'd become. Not because of her, but because of what I refused to be anymore. No more lies. No more games. Just me, my daughter, and the life we're building together. Looking back, I'm hit with a mix of emotions, regret, relief, and a surprising dose of gratitude. Regret, because I ignored red flags for way too long. I wish I'd trusted my gut earlier instead of giving her the benefit of the doubt every time she lied. I wasted years hoping she'd change, and that hope only held me hostage. Relief, because I escaped before things got worse. I'm not naive. I know some people get stuck in cycles much uglier than mine. I got lucky. Gratitude, oddly enough, because this nightmare forced me to grow, to see my own worth, to build stronger boundaries, to be honest with myself and my daughter. If I could give advice to anyone in a similar hell, it'd be this. Listen to yourself. Trust your instincts. And don't be afraid to walk away from the toxic chaos, no matter how perfect things look on the surface. Also, keep evidence. Not to weaponize, but to protect yourself. When she's a master liar, facts are your best friend. And finally, never underestimate your own strength. You're capable of more than you think. Here we are, the final chapter. Honestly, it feels surreal putting this all out there. After the dust settled, I focused on building a new life. Not just for me, but for my daughter. We found peace in the small things. Weekend park trips, late-night talks, watching silly movies. I started dating again, cautiously. The fear of betrayal still lingered, but I refused to let it chain me down. Most importantly, I learned that healing isn't linear. Some days hit hard. Some nights, doubt creeps in. But those moments don't define me anymore. If you're reading this, stuck in your own storm, remember, you're not alone. And sometimes, the hardest endings are just the start of something better. Thanks for sticking with me through this rant. If you ever need advice, or just someone to listen, this subreddit's a good place to start. Stay strong out there. A guy who finally stopped chasing illusions and started living his truth.